Hello. So I'm just going to jump into it, into the story, what happened. It's been about a month now of me recording this video. So about a month ago, or a little bit over a month ago, I was talking to a guy for 2 months, and yeah, I mean, that was my first time knowing him. I only knew he existed for 2 months. Like, it's not like we were cool before or something, and then we started dating or something. Like, no, I just knew I met him 2 months before that, literally. And I just start from the day of when everything started. So it happened on Monday, I texted him and I was like, hey, what are you doing after work today? Because I don't want to go all the way back to where I live, because I was going to be meeting up with my friend to do my nails, who does my nails. And so she lives closer to the area he lives. And so he said, well, I just said, yeah, what are you doing after work today? And he said, nothing, just going to eat. And so he was like, yeah, you can meet me at the place. So he texted me the place or whatever. So I go there. I didn't see him initially, and I asked the lady, I was like, hey, is there anybody else upstairs? And she was like, no, if they're not down here, nobody's upstairs right now. But if they're not right here, then they're just not here. And so I was like, okay. And so his mom was there. I didn't know she was going to be there. And she was like, hey. And I was like, oh, hey, I thought you were gone. I didn't know you were still here. Because she don't live in the state that we live in. So I was like, oh, I thought you went back. And so me and her was talking for a while until he came back, because he left his passport or whatever. And so a little bit after getting our food, well, me getting my food, because his mom had already ordered food, and he was having food ordered on the way. He had to just go and get his passport or whatever. And so he came back and he had food, and I was waiting for my food to come. So because I had finally ordered or whatever. So after my food came, we were talking about getting a rug for his place. Well, not me. I wasn't going to buy no rug for him. She was talking about it, but they were like kind of asking for my, we were just just talking about like what color rug and looking at rugs and stuff like that for his place. And after a while, he was whispering in my ear. So we were at a corner, and so like his mom was over here and him, then me. And so he would just like be in my ear. So who you going to see tonight? And I was like, for him and his mom to hear, I was like, I'm going to meet up with my friend who does my nails. And he was like, I never heard of this friend before. Well, you probably wouldn't. I mean, I didn't tell you about a lot of people I know. And he was like, and so like the whole time from that point on, periodically, he'll take one bite of food. So you're going to meet up with another nigga. You're gonna meet up with another dude. All right, you ain't going nowhere tonight. You staying with me. And I'm like, I told you where I'm going. I was like, stop doing that. And like at times I would be like, yeah, I don't think that gray rug would look right with your couch, just to ignore him. And I'm sure his mom heard after the whole event. He did let me know that his mom heard, and that's what he was supposed to be coming to apologize to me later. That's later on though. So she was hearing what he was doing. I was just like, why are you doing this in front of your mom? This is crazy. So after we left and we were at the car. His mom went to his car, and me and him was talking for a little bit outside. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, what is happening here? Like, we just had like a little talk, and we didn't stay too long. So I was like, okay, I guess we'll talk later. So we were texting a little bit. I get to my friend's house around 7:45, because that's when I was supposed to be meet up with her. So I went to her at around 7:45. He texted me. He's going off. I mean, just texting so much stuff, so much craziness. And me and her are cool. So she's sitting here looking at it too. He's calling. He's texting like crazy. And he was like, okay, so when I want to talk, now you don't want to talk. And I'm like, I'm getting my nails. Like, are you serious? Like, I didn't really reply. I did reply when he called me out my name. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this is about to be done quick. I'm like, where's all of this coming from? It seemed like it came out of nowhere. Like all of that, all of that just happened. Before, though we didn't know each other for long, he never called me out my name. He wasn't acting like crazy like that, like you staying with me tonight, like controlling. Like he didn't do that stuff before. And I was just kind of wondering why all that happened that day. So she was like, my friend was like, oh yeah, no, he's crazy. Like something's wrong. This ain't right. And so I was like, okay, because you called me out my name, I don't want to talk to you anymore. This is crazy. And so he's texting more and more and more and more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And she actually took a video and sent it to his Instagram. And she was like, she's with me. And she sends a video. Even afterwards, that video ain't from today. But I'm like, she told me that it was a 24-hour. I'm not really big on Instagram like that. I don't do social media that much. Like, I didn't understand what she was talking about. But she was saying that she had sent a video that only can last for 24 hours to his direct messages. And so he was still like, yeah, this video ain't from today. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, this really has to go off. After he was texting me so much, I was like, listen, because you called me out my name and the way you're responding, I was like, I am not what you called me out my name. And I was like, that was very uncalled for, and I'm not going to allow that. And that was the last text message I had sent him that night. I left from her place around 10 something, got to my place around late 10 to 11. Got in bed, I was asleep. Late 12 in the morning, of course, 12 a.m. So that would be Tuesday. Basically, I mean, it's still like nighttime, but technically it's morning for the next day. A knock on my door, my apartment door. And I'm like, what in the world? And so like, it woke me up out my sleep. And I had to cut my phone off because he was calling me. Last time I seen that he had called me 10 times in a row on my phone. And I was just like, I got to go to work tomorrow. I can't be dealing with this. Like, I'm not about to be sitting here dealing with this. So he's knocking on my door like late 12 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm not about to answer. Well, at first I didn't know who it was. Well, I should have known it probably was him. I didn't know who it was at first. And like, my heart beating all fast. And like, he's covering up the peephole while he's knocking on the door. And I'm like, I'm not answering the door. I'm by myself. Like, what the heck? And he was like, open the door. And he was so loud. And so all I can think about is that he's disturbing the peace from the neighbors that live around me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. And so I opened the door. And he comes shooting in. you up here talking to other dudes. I was like, okay, so you're coming in and you're not talking rational, and I want you to leave. And I'm like, I got my nails done. You see that my nails are different. Well, these are, of course, not the same nails. So I was like, my nails are different than when you saw me at happy hour, right? Like, and she sent you with a video. And I'm like, what? And you see that I'm here. Like, what? And I'm like, okay, so you're very irrational. So when him coming there at that time, he was supposed to be coming back to apologize because he had talked to his mom, and his mom said that she heard him. And I guess that he should apologize or whatever. He did everything but apologize. And so I'm like, get out. I kept saying, get out, get out, get out, get out too many times, to the point I was like, I'm just going to call the police so you can get out. So I'm calling the police, and I put her on speakerphone. And so he hears me calling her, and he's pacing in my kitchen. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so she had asked me a question, are you guys close to any weapons? I was like, well, he's pacing in my kitchen right now, so I don't know what he might do. And so she was like, well, just try to stay separate from him. If you guys finally separate, don't follow him or anything or whatever. What's he wearing and all this other stuff. I get off the phone with her. So he starts walking towards me, and so I push him away. He chokes me, and he's like pushing me while he's choking me. So like he's pushing me by my neck, basically. So he's choking me and pushing me at the same time. I push him off, and I broke my nail. Like the whole nail has come off. It's starting to grow back now, and it was bleeding at that time. And I was like, ow, like it hurt. Like I had just got my nails done. So like the whole nail just lifted off, and so it was bleeding like crazy. It hurt. And so he did it again, and I pushed him off, and my phone was in my hand, and he snatched my phone out of my hand, and I was like, oh yeah, I need some protection. So I started going to my kitchen, which is opposite from the door to leave out. And so I went to go get a knife, because I'm like, this dude is really trying to harm me. And it seemed, I think he smelled like weed, and maybe he was drinking too, because he was like he was like, when I finally looked at him, like he was like sweating and stuff, and he just looked like he was just going through some things. And so I was gonna go to get a knife, and so when I pick up a knife, and I was like, I can't use this. This is the knife that I use to cut my pineapples and watermelon. And so I put it back, and I heard him going out the door, and so I didn't have anything in my hand at this time, and so I'm going towards the door because he has my phone, and he's about to leave out. And so I'm going closer to him, but I have nothing in my hand. So I guess he thought I did have something in my hand. And so he leaves up my apartment, and he runs down to where the stairwells are in my apartment building. And I'm like, give me my phone. And I just said it once, and he started going down the stairs. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, are you serious? This dude has taken my freaking phone. So I go back into my apartment because the lady said, don't chase after him if y'all separate. So I stayed in my apartment. Remember, the police are supposed to be coming. So luckily, I can see the police cars when I look out the window, or like the balcony I had. And I'm looking over, and I'm like, shoot, they can't get in. First of all, we don't have, like, in the apartment building that I was in, didn't have a security guard. It had a lock. You only could get in by key fob, or if somebody let you in who was doing that with him. So you have to have a key fob to get in the building, and a key fob to get on the elevator to get onto my floor. Somebody let him do all of this. And I'm just like, that's how he got into my apartment. I'm just like, are you serious? Like, who was letting this do that? And so the police couldn't even get in. So they were standing out there for a good minute. And so I was waiting for them to go back to their cars, because I don't think they could hear me from where they were. And so when I saw them walking back to their cars, I'm like, hey, I'm still up here. He took my phone. And so they was like, yeah, just let us in, try to let us in or whatever. And I was like, well, I can't let you in with my phone because he got it. They were calling my phone too. And of course he was ignoring it. So I run to my door, not run, but I went to my apartment door and opened and like kind of to peek out to look out because I was going to go get them. And so I seen a guy that I knew who lived 2 doors down from me. And I was like, hey, can you let the police up? And he was like, yeah. So the police came up. I initially just had called him so he can leave out. So now it's a whole nother thing now. I tell him what happened after I got off the phone with him. So the police was like, okay, so that's assault and theft, robbery. So and then I had to write down the story and everything. And they finally got a picture of him to identify him. And so I went to the police car. I was like, yeah, that's him. And I tried to find my iPhone. So I logged into my account on my laptop. And while the police was there, and I was like, he turned the iPhone location off. Because earlier that day I had it on. I was like, I might as well just keep it on. Not even thinking, because I don't really like keeping my location on my phone. I was just like, in case I did lose it, I guess I'll keep that setting on because it's still still fairly a new phone for me. So I was just like, I'll just keep it on or whatever. Crazy that I thought about that earlier that on Monday while I was at work, and all this happened. And so, of course, it's not planned. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't find my iPhone. So I logged into my account. Once the page, when it logs out or whatever, because you've been logged in for too long, and I tried to log back in, I couldn't log back in. I was like, are you serious? And so I keep attempting. I was like, I was just in the account. The dude has changed my password. I'll tell you how that happened later. So I was with the police till like 3 a.m. I go get some sleep, and I finally get some sleep, and I'm like, okay, I gotta wake up at 6 to get ready for work. And so I wake up, I get ready and everything, do my morning stuff, heading out the door. I leave out at like around 7:30 to get to work by 8:30. And so I'm like, okay, you're good. I don't have my phone. And so I'm leaving out my apartment door. He's at the door. I'm like, who keeps letting this dude in? What the heck? So sorry that I'm loud. Hopefully it doesn't come off loud when I upload the video. I hate when people don't adjust the sound for their YouTube videos. Sorry about that in advance. And so he pushes me in, and I'm screaming. Nobody comes to help me, of course. Because everybody at this point is like on my floor is gone to work. Well, on my end, it's probably gone to work at this time. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So he pushes me into my apartment. He wants to talk. I'm like, I don't have anything to say to you. Where's my phone? I don't have your phone. Then what the hell are you here for? I was cursing up a lot. I was cursing a whole lot with them. What are you here for? And I'm just like, get out my face. I don't want to talk to you. I want to apologize. I was coming over here because my mom heard me and I was apologizing. I was like, well, you didn't do any of that. So get out my face. I got to go to work. Get out my way. I got to go to work. And I kept saying that. So he finally gets out my way after saying what he wanted to say. He goes down the stairs. I go down to the elevator. I go to my car and I turn it on and I see that low tire pressures for 3 of my tires. And I'm like, no. I can't call anybody because I don't have my phone. And I'm like, very low tire pressure. Usually it'll tell me a number on the car. It'll say 29% on this tire or something like that. It just said very low, or like it had no numbers. And so I'm like, this stuff just all the way flat. And I don't know if I can go and put air in them or anything. I just didn't even attempt to, because I was like, I don't want to ride on the rim. Like, that's going to be crazy. So I freak out and I start screaming. I'm like, no! Freaking out, just going off in my car. Angry. I start tearing up because I'm just full of anger at this point, because I was like, I feel stranded. And so I get out the car and I go back into my apartment. And I was going to go see if the guy was down, that I knew that was 2 doors down from me. I was going to see if he was at home. When I'm going to go to his apartment, this dude is coming back up. I'm like, who the keep letting you in? And why? Because you can't come into my apartment building through the stairs. You only can get up. You can only get into my building through the elevator. You can go out the door through the stairs. It's just locked, so you can't get in on the stairwell. Go through the stairs to get into my building. I'm like, who keeps letting you up here? I'm like going off. And he was like, I'm sorry. I want to apologize. And I'm just like, what pissed me off was that when I was looking around to see if he was still around or anything, I didn't see him. I didn't see his car. I didn't see anything. And I was just annoyed that he was still around. I mean, I should have known he didn't get that far. And so I was pretty annoyed that I was like, even though me looking around, I still didn't see that he was either looking at me or if his car was around, anything. And I was pretty mad with myself, because I'm just like, I'm not paying attention to my surroundings good enough. And I'm like, this, either he knew, I mean, it's kind of awkward. I mean, it's kind of weird that he did all of that stuff and my tires happened to be slashed that same day that all that stuff went down. And so I'm like, he either knew or he was looking at me to know that I had went back to my apartment. Like, he knew, oh, she's not going to be able to go anywhere. Or he saw me. And that just pissed me off so much. Oh, dog, that pissed me off so much. And I'm like, at this point, I'm enraged. I know at this point that my eyes are red, because I had saw myself, like I had glanced at myself in the mirror going out. Like, my eyes are like red with like the white part was red. And like, I'm tearing up. I'm just full of anger, because I don't know how else to express this anger, because I'm just like hitting stuff like out of anger, because I'm just so pissed off. Like, I'm like, I legitimately feel freaking stranded. I don't got no phone. I don't got no car. The leasing off, the guy, when I tried to go down to he wasn't there, or he didn't answer the door. I don't know. I was like, the leasing office don't open until 9 o'clock. And this fool keeps popping up at my immediate apartment door. I'm just like, somebody keeps letting this fool in the building and on my floor. This is so annoying. And so he's like, I'm sorry, I gotta apologize. He knew my password. He seen me right beside me, remembered the password. This happened a while ago though. And I don't really have anything to hide in my phone. And he remembered that, so he was able to go through my phone. He remembered the passcode. And he was like, I'm sorry, I gotta apologize. I text guys in your phone that you're pregnant and that you won't be talking to them anymore. I'm like, if you don't give me my phone, it's going to be a real problem. And if you don't get up out my face, it's going to be another real problem. And he was like, you're scaring me. You lucky that's all you getting, nigga. What do you mean? You scared. You lucky this is all I'm doing right now. Oh my gosh. Like, I was just so livid. And I'm like, we working on this project at my job. And right when I was getting into work, we were supposed to be doing this project. Like, oh man. So I had to get on my laptop, my work laptop, and tell my director that what happened to me. And I'm just like, this is so freaking embarrassing. Are you serious? He was like, oh my gosh, you need to take the day off. Like, I'm so sorry to hear this. You have to take time to yourself. And I'm like, I can't because the project today. He was like, we'll be fine. I'll do it. I'll just take over the work. I'll just do it. And I think they'll understand because we were supposed to be presenting to someone else. And he was like, I think they'll understand. And I'm just like, this is annoying. This is so annoying. And I didn't have my phone to do certain credentials to get into my work laptop to do other things that allows me to do other things in my laptop. In my work laptop. And so I'm like, this is pretty embarrassing. This is crazy. And he's standing in my apartment and I'm just like, cause I'm freaking out and I'm just like, this food won't go. Like he's up here trying to talk to me. I want us to move forward. You're damn right I'm gonna move forward. What you mean? And he's like, no, I want us to move forward. I was like, if anybody would move forward with you on this, I was like, this is a whole nother level of dysfunction that I'm not dealing with. Like, how dare you even come out your mouth and say something like that? Are you dumb? Who's gonna move on with this? And you asking, could you move on? I was like, you're trying to fucking ruin my life. And you're talking about moving on? I'm sorry for cursing. This video is getting long. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, maybe 3. I'm just going to end the video here. So that whole Tuesday, I end up not working. And I'll tell you what happened, like, after I messaged my manager. So I'll see you in the next video.